Hello, people. How's everybody doing? It's been a little while, hasn't it? Life has been a little bit crazy, which makes no sense when you are retired. Why is your life crazy? But yeah, it has been. I think I said in my last video, I really bit off more than I could chew, but I'm getting back on track now. And one of the things I was doing was I was filling out my menu. And I was going through everything that I have in my pantry and my refrigerator. I have lots of chicken, so I want to use some of that up. And I had some, I have cheese, I have tortillas, I had peppers, I have onions. And I thought, well, chicken fajitas, right? So the next thing I did was I was getting ready, I was writing my grocery list of the things that I needed, and I knew I needed, I said I had cheese. I don't have cheese. So I knew that I needed to get some cheese, especially with the enchiladas as well. I'm going to need some extra. Um, and I was getting ready to write down to buy a packet of fajita seasoning mix. And I thought, well, now wait a minute. Let's check and see. I've never made it from scratch, the marinade. Let's see whether or not I have what I need to be able to make that. And I looked up the list and I have everything in my pantry. I can make my own. I don't need to spend another dollar and a quarter, whatever it is. I know it's not that much to be able to get just a packet of fajita seasoning marinade. But if I've already got the stuff here, why would I be buying something extra? And that it really pleased me because, see, when I had my trailer and I sold pretty much everything I had to go down to bare bones. I really just had to sell so much stuff and get rid of so much stuff. So my kitchen in the trailer when I was traveling didn't have a big pantry, obviously. So I only had the basics. And then when I moved out of the trailer and then, went back into a sticks and bricks and had a kitchen, first kitchen I had was just a little kitchenette, and but I still was able to cook, so I had to rebuild this stuff. And the way I did it, I think I shared when I did my the oh, brain fart. When I did my budget, I put in there that when I make up my grocery amount that I'm going to be spending for that month, I divide it into fifths. So for 4 weeks, and then the fifth part I use for stocking up. And I've been doing that ever since I needed to stock up my kitchen. And what that allowed me to do was every time I went shopping, I would take part of that amount. And right now, I think it's around $30 a month that I use for just stocking up. I was able to use that to build up my pantry. And if I had not done that, I wouldn't be in a position where I could look and say, okay, do I have all the ingredients for something that I've never made before from scratch? So I thought, you know, a lot of people are in the same position that either they moved from, long distance from one house to another and had to get rid of a lot of stuff that they didn't want to take with them and they have to start over. Maybe you're somebody who has had a transition in your life, maybe a divorce or something like that, where you've had to create a new household. Um, Maybe you have somebody in your life who is graduating from college and they're getting that exciting first apartment and they're not sure what to do. Or maybe that's even you that's watching. It's not my typical demographic, but hey, if you're there, this is for you. So, how do you go about building that up? And so, what I decided to do is it it's really very difficult sometimes to have enough money to be able to walk into the store and just get all the basics that you need and make sure that your pantry is all set up. So if you don't have that, then you have to do it in bits and pieces. And I thought it would be a good idea to share with you what I think you should do in the particular order that you should do it in to be able to have what you need. Obviously, it's static. You can change it however works better for you. If you're not the type of person who does a whole lot of baking, for example, or you're not really at that point where you feel comfortable doing a lot of things from scratch, then you just look at it and switch it around. But for me, this is basically what I did, and it's what I would suggest if you really don't know where to start. So what I did is I grouped things into 3 groups that were all under $20. So the first grouping, I went onto the Walmart app and priced all these things. Figure everybody pretty much has Walmart. And the first group was $18.28, then $16.78, then $18.08. If you have the money and you go out and you buy everything on this list to be able to create your pantry from scratch, it would be $53.14, which is not bad. If you have that $50 extra, go ahead and get everything, get yourself fully set up. But if you have to break it down, this is what I suggest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break away for each group and show you the things where I got my dollar amounts and my suggestions on what to get. So we're going to start out with group 1, which is just basic baking and adding flavor, because if you have salt and pepper, there's a lot that you can do. Salt and pepper will get you a long way. But to really get the flavors and to end up knowing that the recipe that you're making from home is going to be something that you'll enjoy as much as, say, your favorite restaurant, or you want to try somebody's recipe that you saw online, then having these things are really important to be able to pick up on any recipe that you come across and be able to pull it together. And so group 1 includes salt, pepper, flour, oil, yeast, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, cumin, Italian seasoning, and cinnamon. So at this point, I'm going to break away and I'm going to go ahead and show you the things that I found on the Walmart app and what I suggest that you buy. Okay, first item on the list is salt. You are going to need salt. Before you go for anything fancy like sea salt or pink Himalayan salt, just get the regular iodized salt. It's dirt cheap. One of the most expensive items in group 1 is ground black pepper. If you can, go ahead and get the 3-ounce size, but if that is a little too rich for your blood, you can always get the little packets of salt and pepper, like the table size or the picnic size, and use those until you might have enough money to be able to buy something larger for the black pepper. You may eventually get to the point where you can afford a grinder and you can get whole peppercorns, and ounce for ounce, that is less expensive than getting the ground black pepper. Next on the list is flour. Now, I've put a 5-pound bag of all-purpose enriched flour here, but they do have unbleached flour for close to or the same amount, and I would probably purchase the unbleached over the enriched flour. It's just healthier for you. Next we have oil. Now, vegetable oil is not the best for you health-wise, but it is less expensive than the other oils. So if you have nothing in your pantry, then start with this. I keep 3 different oils in my pantry. One is vegetable oil, and I also keep extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil. I don't use the vegetable oil very often. I try to stick to the olive oil and the avocado oil. Both avocado oil and olive oil have great health benefits. The avocado oil has a higher smoke point, which means it's better to use if you are cooking with high temperatures. They both impart a different taste. So if you have a recipe that's asking for one particular oil, pay attention to that, because that could affect the way your recipe ends up tasting in the end. When you're ready to purchase the other oils, get the extra virgin olive oil. It's less processed than the virgin olive oil. Of course, you pay for that, but it goes a long way. And then avocado oil, I really don't know that there's any difference from one to another, so find one that you like. I put yeast on the list because I do like to make my own bread and sometimes my own rolls, and this is necessary. If you don't think that that's something that you're going to be doing now or ever, then take it off the list. But it is so inexpensive, and sometimes I just like the taste of something that's fresh baked. There is also a fast acting dry yeast. I tend to go with this one. I'm never in that big of a hurry, but either one would work. Now, this is my favorite part of pantry staples, and that's the spices. I am taking the ones that I got from the Walmart website. However, these are less expensive if you have an Aldi near you. Most of the ones at Aldi are less than $1. They used to be less than $1 at Walmart, but they have gone up. I recently found these at Aldi for 79 cents on sale, and boy did I stock up. So first up is garlic powder, and then onion powder, chili powder. I added cumin, which I don't see on a lot of lists that other creators put in their pantry staples. And I do this because I love Mexican food, and cumin is absolutely necessary to making Mexican food. As a matter of fact, with the spices that I've just shown you and the addition of paprika, you will be able to make your own taco seasoning. You won't need to buy packets anymore. Italian seasoning is a blend of basil, marjoram, rosemary, sage, oregano, savory, and thyme. Now, if you have a recipe that calls for oregano, you can use this. If you have a recipe that calls for basil, you can use this. The taste might be a little bit off if it's just basil and it doesn't ask for any of the other Italian type seasonings, but in the beginning, if you use Italian seasoning, it will do in a pinch. Eventually, you want to buy the other ones, but in the beginning, this is what you're going to want. Now, cinnamon may not have been something you expected in the first group, but it adds a lot. Just think about baked apples, oatmeal, French toast. They get that extra punch from cinnamon. So decide whether or not it's important to you. Now let's go ahead and look at the second group of items. Okay, so now we're going to move on to group 2. Let's do it this way. Okay, so group 2 is additional baking, so you're getting a little bit more involved here, and some of the bottled items, the sauces, and the kind of basic things that you need. So we're talking about sugar, baking soda, baking powder. You do want both cornstarch, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, bouillon, and vinegar. And that comes out to $16.78. And now we're going to break away, and I'll show you those items that I found on the Walmart app and what I would suggest that you get. First on the list is sugar, and a 4-pound bag of sugar at Walmart is $3.14. As time goes on, you may want to get something else. You may want raw sugar. You probably are going to want brown sugar, maybe powdered sugar, but just get started with the regular granulated sugar before you move on to anything else. Now let's talk about baking soda and baking powder. You can substitute one for the other if you need to, but it's not easy to do, and therefore, since they're so inexpensive, I suggest you just get both. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. It needs an acid and a liquid to activate it and help make your recipe rise. And baking powder has sodium bicarbonate and an acid in it, so all it needs is a liquid in order to activate it. And that's the difference between the two. Cornstarch is next on the list, and this is something that is used a lot in thickening sauces and gravies. It has a lot of other uses around the house. If you've ever had a baby who has a slight diaper rash, cornstarch really helps. I like to use it in the summertime instead of deodorant because it really does keep you dry. It can be used around the house. You can put it in cracks to keep cockroaches from coming in. So this is a good one to have on hand for a lot of different things. Soy sauce is something that most of us associate with Asian foods, but honestly, if there's anything that you would normally use salt on, since soy sauce is pretty salty, even the less sodium version, which is what I buy, it will take the place of salt and add a little additional flavor, like scrambled eggs. Honestly, give it a try. I don't know what this description here about meat condiments means, but Worcestershire sauce is one of those things that you do associate with mostly beef dishes like stews and steaks. I actually tried a little splash of it in some deviled eggs that I made a while back, and it was a really nice taste. Bouillon and broth base is another thing that you're going to need in your pantry. This Knorr one, especially if you get it in the Spanish food section of your grocery store, is one of the least expensive ones. There are so many different versions of bouillon and broth base. I couldn't possibly show them all to you. There's Better Than Bouillon is a very good one. Knorr has a large container where they've got chicken and vegetable and beef, and they've got a great tomato plus chicken one, which is great for you making Spanish rice. But if you're just starting out, maybe get chicken, then I would probably go on to beef and vegetable and just expand from there. These are useful in so many different things. You're cooking rice, toss one of these in there. You're cooking beans, toss one of these in there. It just adds a lot of extra flavor. Okay, and last on the list for this group is vinegar. I would start out with the distilled white vinegar. You can get, as you can see, 128 ounces for $3.74. It's a great value. Great value. Walmart, get it? It is a good value because it can be used in so many different things. It's very well known as a cleaning agent around the house. But I would start out with a distilled white vinegar, and then there are a bunch of different others. If you're going to go on to other flavors, I would say that the next one to get would be the apple cider vinegar. It is one of the less expensive ones and one that you see frequently in recipes. And then there's balsamic vinegar and red wine vinegar. They go a long way. Experiment with them as your budget allows. They are really fun for adding flavor, especially to things like salads. Now we're going to go on to the last group of items, and then we'll be done. Okay, now we're on to the last group, and now you're at the point where you really have a fairly decent pantry going on, and you're just going to pump it up a bit. Some of these things you might already have because you purchased them as you were getting your regular groceries, so you might not even have to spend $18 for this. But this group is adding more spices and flavor. Yellow onions. I mean, you could get red onions as well if you've already got yellow onions at home. But I would get, if you don't have any onions in your house, I would get a bag of yellow onions. A little sleeve of garlic, real garlic. You can get the stuff that's already minced, but it's more expensive. And this is fresher. And I'm telling you, adding garlic to anything makes it better, in my opinion. Mustard, again, that may be something you already have on hand. Mayonnaise, something you might already have on hand. And ketchup. And then we're going to bump up on the spices. Basil, oregano. These two are already in the Italian seasoning that you bought in group 1. But sometimes the recipe calls for only one of them, so it's good to have them separate. Parsley flakes, red pepper flakes, for those of you who like a little spice like I do, and some minced onion. Minced onion is great if you don't happen to have onions at home, or you don't want the texture of chopped onions in your food. If you have somebody in your family who does not like onions, you can hide the onion flavor in there with the minced onion and they won't know. Shh, don't tell them. Okay, let's break away again and take a look at what I found on the Walmart app for these. Okay, a 3-pound bag of yellow onions is $4.48. If you put these in a cool, dark place, like in a cabinet or pantry, they will last for a pretty decent period of time. If 448 is a little too rich for your blood, you can just get 1 or 2 onions and see how quickly you go through them and whether or not it'll make sense for you to get the bag the next time. Okay, and then we have a sleeve of 3 garlic bulbs. And if you put these in the refrigerator, they really last a long period of time, so you don't have to worry about these going bad. Fresh is always better. Next on the list is mustard. Now, if you have a preference for a different type of mustard, then go with that. I happen to keep yellow and brown mustard on hand. These aren't just for sandwiches and burgers. These are used often when you're making your own dressings. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you to the point that you have things on hand where you're not going out and buying something that's already prepared. This will be less expensive. You'll know exactly what's in your recipe, and it'll be healthier for you. Mayonnaise is next on the list, and it's controversial because it's not the healthiest food in the world, but you do see it in a lot of recipes. If you are trying to have a healthier diet, in a lot of recipes, you can substitute plain Greek yogurt for mayonnaise. If you do like mayonnaise on a sandwich or a burger, this is another alternative. This is the one that I like. It's reduced fat and it's made with olive oil. So the oil that you have in it is a healthier version. I'm not saying mayonnaise, this version is healthy, but it is healthier than the regular mayonnaise. Again, if you want to go a healthier route, consider getting plain Greek yogurt and see whether or not that can be substituted for mayonnaise. Okay, then we have ketchup. I am not a ketchup snob. I don't need to have Heinz or Hunt's. I'm fine with the generic brand. You might not be. And again, ketchup isn't just for sandwiches or hot dogs or whatever you might use it on. It can also be used in a lot of recipes that require a tomato base, a sweeter tomato base. So that's another reason why you want to have it on hand. And last but not least are the other spices: basil, oregano, parsley flakes, red pepper flakes, and minced onion. And again, if you have an Aldi near you, these can be had for less than $1 each. And you'll find that you'll be adding more spices as you try new recipes. But every once in a while, when you're in the grocery store and you go past the spice aisle and you see something there for $1 and you don't have it in your cabinet, stop and pick it up. It's probably going to be something that you will use later on. Okay, so that's it. That's how you go about creating this pantry that is going to allow you to make more recipes at home, save you money, make you realize that you don't have to go out and buy a convenience item like a pack of fajita seasoning mix. And it's just such a good feeling to be able to know that when you put your grocery list together, that these are things that you're not going to have to put on it. But then what you continue to do, you don't stop here. If, like in my example, I have $30 a month that I spend just for items that I know that I'm running out of or there's a good deal on, and I will go ahead and use it for that. I start adding other things to my list. Things that I always have on hand are different types of canned tomato products, pasta, rice, beans. You have those around. Those are good backbones for any type of meal that you're going to end up making. See, what else do I keep on hand? I do have, like I said in the other parts of the video, different vinegars, different sauces and those are things that usually happened because I wanted to do something for a recipe and I didn't have that particular item. So they maybe have been sitting in the pantry for a little while, but they're still good, and I will find other recipes that I want to use them for, and sometimes I experiment with them too. I mean, it's there, go ahead and use it. But it also includes when there are loss leaders, that $30 may end up going towards, whole chickens often go on sale for 99 cents a pound. let's see, what was it I saw? The other day there was, I think it was ground sausage. Yes, it was Italian sausage that I saw on sale for, I think it was $1.49 a pound, and I grabbed a few of those. They're prices that you rarely see. Go ahead and get it. That's what that extra money is for. Um, if you can fit it into your budget. Now, if your budget is bare bones and you really don't have that extra 30 or whatever a month, find $5 a month. Anybody can eke out $5 out of their grocery budget every month. $5 will get you 5 containers of spices at Walmart or at Aldi. $5 will get you a couple of bottles of liquid seasoning. $5 will get you flour if you're running short. So just make sure that that's where the pantry inventory and the freezer inventory are really important, because it will help you keep track. And that way you can go ahead and easily check when the sales flyers come out to see if you have something that's missing or getting low in your inventory, that you should go ahead and grab that sale. Okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. If you are interested in having me bump this up and show you the other items that I make sure that I have in my pantry, the ones that are not just your very basic setup, then let me know. If you would like me to group this differently, maybe for somebody who can't have gluten, or for someone who is whole food plant-based and they want something that's a little more geared towards that, um, let me know, and I'm happy to do that for y'all. Okay, so have a great weekend, and I will see you next week with another video. I'll be having some money videos coming up, getting towards the end of the month, and I've got some other good things planned. There's one thing that I have planned that has to do with a grocery budget challenge that I would like to try out with you all and see if it helps people who are very, very low income. Okay, that is it. And I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.